Hi everybody, it's Tatiana, and today I am doing my top 10 reads of 2014. I am just going to do 10 because for some reason, even when you read a lot of books during the year, and the amount that I read in 2014, which was 56, is a lot in comparison to what I normally read. When it comes time to do like superlatives or pick your top reads for that time period, it's so difficult to do. It's like you just don't have enough to choose from. So I'm just going to do 10. And these are really in no particular order. And I'm going to start with the books that I don't have handy. The first being 12 Years a Slave, which is on my Kindle, which I absolutely enjoyed. It was my first nonfiction read probably in forever. It kept me interested and tied into or pulled into everything that was going on through the entire story, even the information and snippets of documents that are provided at the end of the story. Number 2 is The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. It was my first read by Julie Kagawa, and I absolutely enjoyed the book. It's a different take on the vampire and the life that goes into it, and it happens in the future, and there are quite a few characters and elements that go into the story that just made it a really, really fun and engrossing read. 3 is The Preacher's Son by Carl Weber, which I own, but a friend of mine borrowed it months ago and I haven't gotten it back yet. And that was my first Carl Weber read in probably a good 10 years. And it brought back to my memory why I really enjoyed reading Carl Weber. I went on through a point when I first got home from college where every book he put out, I purchased, and I just got out of reading him and growing my readership of other authors, and it really made me say, I need to get back into reading Carl Weber. There's a reason why I thoroughly enjoyed him. Number 3 is going to be Styx by Sherilyn Kenyon, which was really my crossover read. I started reading this in December and did not finish it until January. Absolutely enjoyed it. I am a huge Dark Hunter fan, and this is the first time that we ever got to see or get any of Styx's story, and it was absolutely worth the read, absolutely worth the thickness of the book. And I actually borrowed this from the library and read it in hardback, and then when it came out in paperback, I went and purchased my own copy because I have Acheron in the mass market paperback, so I wanted the books to be the same size. But the fact that it's this big has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that it's a mass market paperback. The book is just huge, and I never got tired of the story. 5 is going to be Lazarus 1. This volume is entitled Family by Greg Rucka, and I can't think of the other guy. Michael Lark. 2014, I really opened myself back up to reading new authors and new genres, and I had not read a comic book or graphic novel since I was in middle school. And so I really opened myself back up to reading them, and I've just picked this one up because it was $10 when I went to the comic book store. Yes, the comic book store, and fell in love with it. I purchased volume 2 as soon as it came out. Volume 3 will be released March 17th this year, I think. I cannot wait for it to come out to continue reading the story. Number 6 is going to be The Leftovers by Tom Perrotta. This was a book that I picked it up because it was $6 at Barnes & Noble, and the story sounded interesting, and I knew that it was I knew that it had been turned into a series on one of the premium channels for TV, so I was interested in reading the book. Absolutely absolutely enjoyed it. It caught me by surprise. I did not think that I would enjoy it as much as I did. The point of views are not typical. They're done a little differently. Thoroughly enjoyed the story, enjoyed all the characters, even the toxic, bad characters that you really shouldn't like. You may not necessarily like them, but you come to understand them. Thoroughly enjoyed it. 7 is going to be Playing My Mother's Blues by Valerie Wilson Wesley. I have owned this book for years and really wanted to put a dent, which I didn't do a good job of, but really wanted to put a dent in my TBR bookcase, and I went ahead and read it, and I'm glad that I did. It's a really, really good story about family and children and their relationships with their parents. And this was my first Valerie Wilson Wesley read. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I have purchased more books by her since reading this. I just haven't read them yet. 8 is Cane River by Lolita Tademy. This was a debut novel by Lolita Tademy, and it's also a historical fiction novel. And I keep saying I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everything on this list I thoroughly enjoyed. That's why it's on the list. I need to pull out a thesaurus and find some more synonyms for thoroughly enjoyed. But as thick as this book is, I thought it was going to take me forever to read it. I actually had sat down a few years ago and attempted to read it the first time through, and I just couldn't get into it. This year I had no problem with that whatsoever, and I flew through it. It's a great historical fiction novel based on historical fact people, and it follows her family history. Number 9 is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. I have seen the movie hundreds and hundreds of times. Really, it's ridiculous. I had just never read the book, and after reading the book, it's sometimes you read the novel for a movie and you're like, well, I like the movie more than the book, or I like the novel more than the movie, and both of these stand so well on their own. I do like the information that's provided on the characters that are more in-depth in the book than you get in the movie, but both really stand very well on their own. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Haha. Number 10 is Rose Madder by Stephen King. This was my first Stephen King read. Mind blown. Totally understand why Stephen King gets all of the notoriety and the fandom that he does. This was an excellent read. This was an excellent read. Those are my top 10 books for 2014. I do have reviews for all of these books, I believe. I will put the links in the description box below. By all means, if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so. What were your favorite reads for 2014? Do you have any suggestions for reads for 2015? Put them in the comments below, and I hope you all have a good weekend. Whenever you see this video, peace out.